future of event marketing with our good friend, CEO, founder of Social Tables, Don Berger. Don, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. It's funny. We're in the same city and we're doing this remotely.
That's right.
I guess we're really trying to use technology.
We're trying to utilize everything we have, tools in front of us to really showcase how smart we are, right? Just for everybody's background, Future Event Marketing Series is really where we're taking some influencers, thought leaders in the event marketing, event technology space, and asking them their thoughts and perspective on where the future of what the future of event marketing is and where they're taking their respective teams and companies as that moves forward. So Don, thanks again for joining us, close friend of the farm here. So let's start things off. Tell us a little bit about what Social Tables is and how you guys fit into the event technology, event marketing space.
Sure. So Social Tables is the #1 collaboration software for planners and properties to work together online. And essentially what that means is properties create events and planners plan events. So they go on our platform to work together to achieve great things and make sure they have the ROI they're looking for in their events. More specifically, our software is used for floor plans, guest lists, and really operational side of things. But it's also used for sales, whether you're selling something to your client or selling something to a future customer. Our software helps you visualize the event.
Awesome. How have you seen the space change in the last, you guys have been around, what, 4 years now, Don?
Exactly.
So in 4 years since you guys started off, and we're about the same age, how has your clientele changed, their education, their knowledge? In a short period of time.
Yeah, so just a high level, Social Tables has been used for more than 500,000 events and meetings in the last 3 years. So, and then that's on the event side. On the square footage side, our software has about 1 billion square feet of meeting space from all over the world. So we've grown pretty fast and at a good clip. We have 3,000 customers. 2/3 are suppliers, hotels and venues like Kimpton and Four Seasons and Hyatt. And Live Nation. And then we have 1/3 that are planners like NASCAR and In-N-Out and Wendy's and Genentech and Goldman Sachs. So we kind of have this happy place online for them to work together. And what we've seen, interestingly enough, is more planners are interested in our software than ever before because they're just not happy with how slowly suppliers are moving. So, you would think that suppliers would be all over something like what we're doing. We're actually finding tremendous traction with the corporate planners because they're like, you know what, I'm not going to rely on my venue for technology. I'm going to do it myself. So I'm going to design the space myself and I'm going to call the shots because now the floor plans are readily available to me. That's one way we've seen it. Another way that I think kind of where we're going as an industry is event marketing is going to change. And EventFarm is actually leading the charge in changing how we measure ROI, how we do activation. And that the way we do events is going to change because marketers know where their dollars are spent. We now track campaigns in Salesforce, so I know exactly what has a net positive result. And we'll see some dollars divested out and some dollars invested in. And it'll be really interesting to watch what happens. My personal hypothesis is that, maybe 10, 20 years from now, you won't even have a trade show anymore. Sure. You're gonna have something different.
Very interesting. So when you, if you look at your LinkedIn tagline, right, you put next to your title, inspiring face-to-face experiences through cutting-edge hospitality software. So let's take the first part of that. Like, why face-to-face experiences? What is the value in? Why do you emphasize that so much as you kind of promote not only your personal brand but that of Social Tables and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so Social Tables in its heart is a meetings and events company. We just happen to do software.
Sure.
We take meetings really seriously. Take for example our monthly all hands meeting. It's called Global Takeover Congress, and we have it's essentially like a general session for our own company.
Right.
So we take meetings and events really seriously, and we believe that if you take care of all the administrative and logistical things and let the planners focus on strategic priorities and bottom lines, then you're going to have much better events and meetings. And therefore, great software that's almost kind of seamless and intuitive is in the background and really automating what you do is going to be an afterthought. and you're going to focus on face-to-face experiences. So we believe that great software and great technology like EventFarm can actually help you have more face-to-face experiences because you realize, hey, this is pretty cool, and all that stuff and all that I had to do administratively is completely automated for me, and I can focus on my strategy.
So right now, is the event planner and the event marketer the same person for you, or do you think they're two different people? And then are they growing together to be one person? Are they growing away to be two different people? Like, what do you see? What's the evolution, and how do you think of event planning and event marketing as two different functions?
Yeah, so I feel like you would probably answer that question much better than me. But I really haven't thought about this too much. So let me kind of just try to speak off the cuff. When I think about event marketing, I think about attending.
Mm-hmm.
When I think about event planning, I think about planning.
Yep.
So for social tables, for example, event marketing for us is like attending all the shows that we go to, going to conferences. But event planning for us is, organizing a customer event, or organizing our customer advisory board meetings. And then that splits up into internal and external, right? Like, what do we do with external stakeholders? What do we do with internal stakeholders, like a board of directors or whatever?
Right.
So that's what I think about it. I don't know. I'm interested in your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we look at and we're two very similar organizations. It's that like your technology and our technology at a fundamental level solves an inherent pain point, a part of what we'd say the planner's process, right? And the personas, right? There's somebody whose day-to-day function, we're making their life better, easier, faster, more efficient because of what you guys do and what you've done in the space, and really creating a niche that didn't exist, right? And it's pretty amazing and powerful how much you guys have grown up and creating a tool and a platform that really wasn't available to people. At our side, we came into a space that inherently was crowded and almost saturated. And people look at like, well, you guys are like another event registration software, and we're not. And 80% of what we do is about streamlining that process, so that pain point, but also from a marketing element. And this is where the marketing comes on top of the planning, is getting the brand out there and looking at the cohesiveness and the journey between who am I inviting, why am I inviting them, did they show up, and the life cycle of that individual guest as a function of a sales and marketing exercise as much as anything else. Just as much as we use our marketing automation platforms to track the digital journey of a potential customer to being a customer to how long they've been a customer, our place in this from a marketing standpoint, event marketing, is the journey of that guest with real life face-to-face human interaction experiences. And that's kind of how we look at that. And those are two different pain points, right? Or two different market conversations and opportunities.
Yeah, and I think if you think about it kind of abstractly, event planning and event marketing kind of goes together to form an event strategist, because planning is becoming more and more automated.
Right.
So, it's just a matter of time before scheduling and sourcing and other things will be pretty automated, or at least there's this concept in driverless cars and autonomous flight systems. That's it's essentially human-powered automation. And it's this idea where the human is still there making decisions, but the computer is guiding the human through the decisions.
Right. So let's talk about, like, if we're on the topic of event marketing and the guest journey, and like to your point, the planning side is going to be automated, and the focus is on the marketing and the human element and human experience. What data is being measured or becomes available to us is beginning to evolve and change. Like, how do you guys look at data in your system, what you're collecting, how it's being measured, and how it's valued to your customers?
Are you asking about the data that we use for our events, or are you asking for the data that we have on our customers?
The data that you have that your customers are collecting, that you're collecting on your customers, that you actually can then in turn give back to them to make them
got it.
Smarter.
Got it.
More value.
I'm asking a coworker to bring me my charger because I'm low. So
no worries.
I asked a coworker of mine to bring it over. So we collect a lot of data. And there's a lot of potential to do a lot of things with it. First of all our data is anonymous, so we have no idea. I don't know what account it is. I know it by zip code. So there's a couple ways we can look at data. The first one is just overall using data to know which cities, for example, are up and coming. Because remember, Social Tables is a sales tool. So I know where there are events being planned ahead of time. So I know which cities might be up and coming. I know in a city which zip codes are are hotter, and I can compare zip codes and tell you performance across zip codes. So you can look within zip codes, so you can know how your comp set is doing, your comparable set is doing. We have information about events and, what's the average number of people in an event and what they're eating and who they are maybe and where they're sitting and there's just a number of attendees. So
Sure.
information about attendees. And what's really interesting when you have this kind of information about events, those are all leading indicators of the economy, because events tell us where there's going to be economic impact. Events tell us when a company might be doing better because suddenly their number of people at their holiday party is just doubled.
Sure.
So oh, they're allowing significant others. That means that their company's probably doing better. And that was booked out 6 months in advance or whatever. So it's a leading indicator of the economy, and we're really excited about the power that we have there. Additionally, we have information about utilization of space. I know which space is used when, and that can be really interesting for me from a macro level, but also from a micro level. So I can know which floors are being used more, where I can charge more for space, and so on.
Very interesting. So some of it's just, I heard a lot of that. One of the big takeaways is just the trends, and you guys, how people are utilizing your platform, where they're utilizing locations, are in fact a good leading indicator of maybe where the industry is headed, or where the energy or movement, or just everything from configurations to eating trends to location trends. It's really interesting. So how do you guys look at? And I don't know. I mean, how much do you use the term ROI? Is this like it's like overplayed, but at some point, it's still, I kind of cringe every time somebody says ROI,
Right.
But then we find ourselves using it on a day-to-day basis. Do you think ROI in the industry, especially in events, is something that our clients are looking for, or is it just a buzzword that everybody just throws around for because it sounds good?
I think it's important, right? You want to know what you're getting out of your investment. It makes sense. But I'm not sure. I think the disconnect happens when you're unable to explain how that's possible.
Sure. Do you see, or do a lot of your clients asking for the ROI, or are you guys what's the ROI on this, or is it something that we as technology providers are?
Sorry, I unplugged my thing. I'm sorry. I swear I'm listening to you. I swear I'm engaged.
Is it something that we as providers are just talking about because we're trying to demonstrate our value, or do you think are you hearing that clients are asking what's the ROI here? How do I justify this? Is it meaningful to me, or this is what they're ultimately being asked for by their higher ups?
So the way we do it is we think about ROI as, if you purchase the software, what are you going to get in return? And for us, it's pretty simple. We'll help you get more revenue. We'll help you have better operational efficiency, and we'll help you increase customer service. So if you use social tables and you use it with your clients are going to be happier. And I can tell you that number of what percent of people's clients are happier when they have social tables.
Right.
So we think about it that way. I can tell you that you're going to get at least $30,000 more at least per year if you use social tables, and that's just a small venue.
Sure.
So we think about ROI, and we're very definitive about it. We have ROI models to show that. I think you're talking about more specifically about ROI for an event. And how do I know I actually have ROI on it? Or maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean, are your clients, you guys can clearly demonstrate ROI by making your clients more efficient. But then in doing so, that allows them to focus on other things that are important to them, kind of to your point of automating and streamlining this process to where all this stuff becomes it's not automatic, and it just happens kind of in the background and lets people be more efficient. So ultimately that should roll up into a larger ROI conversation is kind of where I'm going. But shifting into a topic a little bit more about event marketing and event technology, what is your biggest beef or challenge with how event marketing is looked at in the industry right now?
So assuming we use my definition of event marketing, which means you're doing events in order to get leads, that's
Sure.
really what it is. Event marketing is a lead generation function by the marketing team. It just so happens that it's through face-to-face experiences.
Right.
So, my biggest challenge with event marketing is that people don't talk in terms of objectives. People are not numbers focused. People just pour dollars into events expecting some sort of result. And unless you, so, for us, I think about us because we're, 100% company. We use events a lot as a lead source. We track every single person that goes to an event, and I can tell you, like, hey, this deal closed, and that's because they went here and here and here. Salesforce is much better at it. Salesforce actually can tell you what the average sales price is as a result of people going to trade. I think it's 5x the return, 5x average sales price for people who attend Dreamforce on Salesforce.
Seriously.
Yeah. So they can tell you, like, straight up, like, how it affects sales price, how it affects lead time for the sale to close. They tell you how it can increase your close rate. You're more likely to close. So.
No, and those are all good points, and I think that's really aligns with how we think about our role in event marketing. Is that if we can put better information back into a CRM or Salesforce environment or a marketing automation environment, it gives that salesperson a better. If I know that I invited Don to an event, and you said yes, you're coming, and you didn't show up, all right, like, what does that mean to me as your salesperson, right? I can pick up the phone and actually have a reason to call you and say, why didn't you come, or understand a personal relationship better. So,
or even beforehand, you could be like, hey, I'm having an event, you should come.
Exactly.
Right. So that's right there. That's like if you're really trying to add value to your client or prospect, you should give them an experience. And events are a great way to get people excited, or to get people in front of the right people.
Yeah, I mean, since 4 years ago when we started, right? And I remember being in a room with you in New York for Techsy Talk and with Liz King or Planner Tech, I think at the time, and like here we are pitching our companies and explaining our value propositions to people. And the industry, the same year we're explaining to our clients how to use an iPad to streamline check-in at an event, right? One of our tools. And then now we're talking about integrations with CRM and marketing platforms and everything that you guys are doing, and the fly-throughs and the 3D renderings you guys have put together. So the space has changed so much, and it's really interesting that we see that at the time nobody was talking about marketing automation or CRMs. Everybody was adapting to Salesforce. Now that everybody has it, the marketers or the event planners are now being charged with this other thing of like ROI is now being measured differently than it was 4 years ago. And in the past, it was, I just need people in the room. How many people were there? If we could tell them that was a success, right?
Right.
And now, like, the accountability has changed, and it's moving much closer to the event planner, who is our main customer, our main pain point that we focus on solving, and their responsibility has changed. And clearly, on both sides of this call, we've spent our time and effort of making them smarter and empowering them to make better decisions and be more efficient. So,
well, I laugh because the other day I was talking to a university, and they were saying, I was like, how was that last event? They're like, we had X registrants. And I was like, okay, how many people showed up? How many people donated? It's like impressions, right? Like impressions in marketing, that's useless.
Right.
Like registration is useless. It's just easy to measure and easy to communicate. So people take that, and it's usually the highest number. So people usually just talk about it when they really shouldn't.
So to kind of wrap, as we wrap this up, 4 years since you started, what's been like the single biggest change that you've noticed in the industry itself? And then what do you see 4 years from now being, and you kind of touched on it earlier, what the future is, but what have you seen? What's the single biggest change?
The biggest change is just how busy the event space is getting, how many new companies are popping up, and it's great, but there are a lot of them, and it truly commoditizes everything that we do in event technology. So I think the challenge is to really differentiate from the other solutions out there. But there are a ton of, everybody was trying to disrupt the event industry. We're really in hospitality. Events is part of hospitality, and hospitality is part of travel. But yeah, so just the busyness, and related, because of the busyness, what I think is going to happen, because of the commoditization of the space, I think every piece of software will be free in the next 10 to 20 years. And we'll have to battle that. We'll have to figure out business models that work around that.
So then what's the value, or where is the value going to be created? Or, I mean, if you can answer that, then we all
Yeah,
can
I mean, I
go
think
retire right now.
I think through data. I think through customer service. I think through community. I think those are the three ways: that data, customer service, and community is how you can differentiate. And I include I include kind of like as a footnote to community, thought leadership, and education.
No, I like that. And I think, I think our values between both of our organizations really align there, because it is about education, and we're here not to put our product into everybody's hands, but to make people smarter, because it's not for everybody all the time. And
Right.
being honest and open and candid, I think, are the things that are going to keep those of us around, and not, forcing something into somebody's hands that they're not ready for. And, we have a saying around here: if it feels forced, it is. And it's probably not the right opportunity, not the right client, or not the right time. And I think, the time for event marketing has grown up a lot. And now we're having, conversations away from just pain points with people that want to talk holistically about, their problems and the opportunity to measure things that were never thought of being measured in the past. And at a fundamental level, how that relates into the sales environment, or the post-sales environment, or the business operating environment, which is really fun. It's really, it becomes a function of not just, as you said, registrations and impressions and getting people in the door, but ultimately a business cycle and process. And
Right.
you guys are.
And that's why I love events, man, because to measure their true impact is impossible.
Yeah.
Sure, there is direct impact, right? Like how much was spent. Then there is indirect impact. Okay, what happened as a result of people meeting or whatever. And then there is induced, which is like even more meta. It's like, oh my God, imagine all the things that happened after that event that you can't even know about. Like, we became Facebook friends, and then your friend saw my post and then did business with me. You can't measure that. So, me connecting with you on LinkedIn, then 10 years later, us doing business when we're in two different companies.
Right.
You can't measure that. You can't tie that back to the event where we met. There's always going to be this kind of fog of war, this kind of gray area in events you'll never be able to measure, but it is powerful.
Yeah, it is. There's nothing that beats face-to-face interaction and human experience and emotion, and that's why people go to events. And then I think that's why we're both here, is because we're passionate about what we can provide to events to help bring out that emotional experience, the educational experience that people have when they're face-to-face with other people. So, John, I think that wraps it up for today. We appreciate your time. On behalf of EventFarm, we're honored to have you here. Best of luck with Social Tables. You're moving into new office here in DC when?
We'll be opening the doors January 1st.
January 1st. And gone from, 60 people earlier this year, at the beginning of January 1 this year, to well over 100 by the time you move into new office?
That's the hope.
That's pretty awesome, man. Congrats to all your success. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Brennan. I enjoyed doing it.
Thanks, Tom.